It's finally here for the USA. Wild Turkey Distilling Company has brought Wild Turkey 101 8-year-old bourbon to the United States as a permanent offering, with the product rolling out on shelves alongside Classic 101 here this month. So this bottle actually pays homage to the original Wild Turkey 101, which was also 8 years old. So let's taste it, compare it. It's a turkey day. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. and welcome back to the Mash and Drum. Like, subscribe, and help me keep climbing to 100,000 subscribers here in 2025. So in recent years, Wild Turkey 101 8-year-old bourbon has exclusively been available in select export markets, which had many bourbon enthusiasts, including this guy, searching. Now, up until now, this bottle was a rarity in the US, but it still remains one of Jimmy Russell's favorite expressions ever. If you ever see him in a gift shop and you ask him what's his favorite expression, he usually will say it's 101 8 years old. Now, this bottle will also be kind of a fitting tribute back to Jimmy as he begins his 8th decade at Wild Turkey. 8th decade, man's a legend. Now, compared to the standard Wild Turkey 101 offering that is made of 6 to 8-year-old bourbons, Wild Turkey 101 8 year is blended from a smaller batch of barrels that is also hand-selected to add just a little bit more complexity than the standard 101 has. So the Wild Turkey 101 8 year is packaged in a 750 milliliter bottle for the US with a mash bill of 75 corn, 13 rye, and 12% barley. It has a suggested price of only 45 bucks. All right, let's give it a pour. Now, I am actually going to compare this to the 70th and also the standard 101 here in a little bit, but I just wanted to give a full review of the bottle on its own. All right, let's dive in. Here we go. So I think immediately what I'm noticing, me drinking 101 for so long, is a little bit more of a baking spice type of profile here. I'm definitely picking up clove, which is something I don't necessarily get in the standard 101, where 101 comes off a lot sweeter to me, especially these days. But that Wild Turkey 101, that signature citrus and toffee note that I love, it's right there at the forefront. Tons of vanilla here. Could also make a case for a little bit of lemon as well. Lemon, orange. I'm kind of searching for some of that signature Wild Turkey, dark cherry note. I think there's a hint of it there, but I'm not getting it too much on the nose. But the main difference that I'm picking up here is just some added oak and some added baking spice, especially with that hint of clove I'm picking up. All right, let's try it. Here we go. Wow, the clove hits immediately for me. It actually comes off very savory in the beginning, but then as it works its way back to the palate, then it gets sweet. Now, some picks I've had of, Russell's Reserve will actually have a lot of heavy spice and clove and baking spices up front, cinnamon, nutmeg, and then you get all the sweet on the back end. While normal 101 to me is very sweet up front with a little bit of spice in the back end. This is the first experience where I'm getting all the clove, I'm getting some cinnamon all up front, but then as it works its way to the mid palate, then that's where all the sweetness comes in. The toffee, the orange, the lemon, that heavy citrus that it has, it's all kind of intermingling, but it really does lead in with baking spice. Yeah, the clove and cinnamon really rings true here for me. I've tasted barrels of Wild Turkey that just have really, really heavy clove and cinnamon, and I feel like that's what we're getting here. But the sweetness that evolves in the back of the palate, I think, is what Wild Turkey drinkers are a little bit more used to. When you get into the vanillas, the toffees, a little bit of like a buttercream frosting a little bit. I think there could be a slight hint of cherry on the back end there. I'm not getting it really super heavy because of the citrus component and all that allspice and clove up front. Yeah, this whole reverse order experience is still holding on the palate. Lots of clove and allspice up front, and then it leads into the sweet. A lot of citrus, again, kind of a combination of that citrus, orange, lemon, whatever you want to call it, and then it leads back into the toffee and some of that vanilla icing type of note that we're used to with Wild Turkey. But to me, yeah, it's very savory forward. All right, let's do a quick comparison to the Wild Turkey 70th anniversary Jimmy Russell edition and the standard 101. All right, guys, so here we have Wild Turkey 101, the standard offering with 6 to 8 year bourbon in it, the brand new Wild Turkey 8 year with 8 year bourbon in it, and then we have the Jimmy Russell 70th anniversary release from last year, which we know was 8 year, but also had some 9 year in it. So all 101 proof. Let's go to the standard offering first. Wow, the standard offering is just so much sweeter on the nose. It's a complete reversal to what you get in the 8-year. The 8-year just brings so much more savoriness to it. When you go back to the standard 101, there's definitely more of a overlying sweetness here. That citrus note that you get from Wild Turkey is there, but man, it definitely, the vanilla, the toffee, and that little bit of like a vanilla icing note is all up front here. All right, let's try the standard here. Yeah, I feel like 101 has everything the 8 has, but without the oak spice and that savory clove and baking spice characteristic. I feel like the 8-year definitely has an extra layer or a couple extra layers of complexity here, which is, I think, what they were going for. Let me go to the 8-year. Wow, coming off the 101, the 8-year, the savory quality to it, the heavy cinnamon, the heavy clove, the spice of it. This has a bite on the back end. When I say this, I mean the 8-year. It's got that really nice spice on the back end that's very reminiscent of the Wild Turkey 101s that I really loved before they switched the label around. I feel like, I mean, maybe it's in my head, maybe just it's my palate evolving, but I feel like Wild Turkey 101, the regular 101 has gotten sweeter over a little bit of time. You know, the American palate's pretty sweet, so maybe they geared their blends towards that direction. But as far as that spice, that kick that it really had, you know, the kick and chicken, it was one of those things where I kind of miss it from 101, but it's back here at the 8-year. So let's go to the Jimmy's 70th. So now the Jimmy's 70th, you get into it, and this is where that black cherry is. I'm not getting really a lot of the savory, but I'm getting extra layers of sweet here, which is really, oh, it's just so inviting. It gets into like that cherry grapiness, the toffee, and that orange peel it has. It feels like it's been just like put over a flame. It's just really nice. All right, let's give this one a try. Jimmy's 70th, to me, even has less of a savory aspect than the 8-year does. I think while there is some of that savory quality in the Jimmy 70th, it leans more into the sweet and the dark fruit profile. It's so good. It's like the best of both worlds between these two. I think Jimmy 70th here, between all three, is still the superior bottle. And I think there's a reason for that. You know, they went through, they hand selected, you know, these very special barrels, 8 and 9 year for Jimmy Russell and his favorite profile. And I think they nailed it here because it's just so good. It's so rich, has a lot of depth to it, even at 101 proof. But I do feel like it's a little bit of a mix of what we have with the standard 101 and the 8-year. However, the 8-year does lean a little bit more savory. All right, one more quick comparison, and that's gonna be Rare Breed, because this bottle, the 8-year, is only $5 cheaper than what Rare Breed is. Now, Wild Turkey Rare Breed in my area costs about 50 bucks. It's like $49.99, so it's only $5 more than the 8-year. But you're looking at 116 proof versus 101 proof. So what's the sales pitch here for the 8-year? So let's compare these real quick. Man, even going back and forth on these two, the 8-year has more clove and more cinnamon and more of that allspice going on. With Rare Breed including some 12-year in it, you definitely pick up a little bit more age here. All right, let me give this a try. Yeah, the Rare Breed definitely has the proof going for it. A little bit of a longer finish, but I do think the finish is just different. The finish here, I think, is based on proof. That 116.8 proof point it has, I do think gives you a little bit of a lingering complexity to it, but the 8-year has more of a spicy finish. Again, just, you know, I keep saying it, that clove, allspice, cinnamon, black pepper combination that it gives you right at the back end and the front of the palate, along with that sweetness, is just really what makes the 8-year stand out. Yeah, it's good. It's like the 101, but with just way more baking spice, a little bit more complexity, and there's definitely some more oak influence in here. Last sip of the Rare Breed. There are definitely shades of the Wild Turkey 8-year in Rare Breed. Rare Breed, I do pick up some of those savory notes as well. However, it's the proof in Rare Breed that's gonna either sell somebody versus the 8-year or not. It's really gonna depend on your palate, being that they're only $5 apart, at least here in my area. All right, so let me think about this one. It's final breakdown time. All right, final breakdown on the Wild Turkey 101 8-year here in 2025, back in the USA. Price for this one, $45, resale market value. I've seen these a little bit of an uptick to about $60, $65 around that area, but I feel like that's gonna come down. We won't really see these upcharge once they start getting into the market a little bit more. Availability for this is gonna be probably average. I'm not gonna say good quite yet because I'm not exactly sure how many of these are going to be released into the wild. As far as value, an 8-year age-stated 101 proof bottle from a heritage distiller at 45 bucks. It's a price that only most heritage distillers are going to be able to offer. So for the price of this one and the value, it's going to be a good value. Most I paid for this one was going to be retail. I do feel like the Jimmy Russell 70th had a more complex and just a flavor profile that I liked a little bit more than this one. And that one was about $50, $55 depending on where you were. So at 45, I think I'm happy paying 45 for this. As far as alternatives to this one, I mean, it's really just staying in the Wild Turkey family. They all have similar types of flavor profiles that are close to this. I think Rare Breed, even though it's $5 more, might be the best alternative, especially if you like higher proof. But if you're looking for something around the same age statement, that's something that's a little bit different, I would highly recommend New Riff 8-year, which I think will be a great alternative to this one, but I'm gonna have to compare them to see actually how close they are. And lastly, is it a skip, a try before you buy, or a buy and back it up? For me, this is gonna be a buy at $45, 8 years old. However, I can make an argument that why not just spend the $5 extra and get a Rare Breed instead? I think a lot of people would probably make that argument. However, at $45 for an 8-year, just something a little bit different from Wild Turkey. You know, some people don't like to drink that high of a proof, so at 101, this is gonna be something you're gonna wanna seek out. I mean, I do think it has a very savory type of profile that's a little bit different than the standard 101. So if maybe you have a little bit of apprehension just hearing that, this may be more of a try before you buy, but at $45, even if you buy it, roll the dice on it, it's gonna be something that you're gonna like it. It's just gonna depend on how your palate responds to a little bit more of that savory type of character that it has. But for me, I'm so happy to see this back in the US and so happy that, you know, Wild Turkey decided to make this an annual offering. So really excited to see how these evolve over time. Will they change, you know, each and every year? Will they stay savory? Will they go sweet? Time will tell. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this review for the new Wild Turkey 101 8-year here on the Master and Drum. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, find me on Instagram. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this one, what you think about the tasting notes, and if you've had it yet. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers. I'll see you next time right here on the Master and Drum. Cheers, Jimmy.